Hi everyone, my name is Kristen Allen. I'm the Outreach Coordinator for the Dixon Gallery and Gardens, and this is my assistant Miles. Today we'd like to show you how to make two different kinds of DIY pet treats. We'll make one for dogs and one for cats. We're going to start with our canine friends today, and I found this recipe on thecookierookie.com. So we'll make them and then try them out with my two favorite taste testers, Clementine and Oz, who you'll get to meet soon. If you'd like to make dog cookies today, you're going to need some peanut butter, some honey, some baking powder, an egg, a cup of water, and some whole wheat flour. If all you have is all-purpose flour, that'll work too, but the whole wheat is just a little more nutritious. So let's start making.
I didn't want as many cookies as the original recipe was going to make, so I decided to experiment by cutting my ingredients by about half. First, I added 1 1/4 cup of whole wheat flour in a medium-sized bowl. Next up was 1/4 a teaspoon of baking powder. Afterwards, I added an egg white. The original recipe called for a whole egg, but since I was cutting it in half, I decided not to use the whole thing. It still turned out fine. Then I added a cup of peanut butter. The recipe says you can use creamy or crunchy peanut butter, but the creamy looks a little prettier. Then it was time for a tablespoon of honey. And finally, a half a cup of water. I will say that this dough was kind of dry and crumbly, so if I had to make this over again, I would add more water a tablespoon at a time until it got to a better consistency. Time to combine all the ingredients. This dough is a little bit stiff, so I did find it easier to just mix it with my hands eventually. I added some flour to my work surface and rolled out my dough. This dough doesn't really spread or rise, so you can use your favorite cookie cutters to cut them into fun shapes. Add your cookies to a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. The recipe encouraged me to get creative with my cookie shapes, so that's what I did with my leftover dough. Bake them at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes or until they're golden brown. All done! Now it's time for a taste test. This is Oz. He's a very good boy. High five, Oz. Oz will generally eat anything, and this was no exception. He gives it 2 paws up. Nom nom nom. This is Clementine. She is not a good girl, but she is cute. She's also our picky eater. Surprisingly, she likes it too. In fact, she likes it so much she gives a little celebration roll. Yum!
Now it's time to try our hand at some cat treats. We only have dogs here in the Allen house, so we're going to make these and send them over to our good friend Loretta. The good news is this recipe only has 3 ingredients, which you may already have in your pantry. It comes from thecookierookie.com as well. So if you'd like to make a cat treat, you'll need an egg, some flour, and either some packaged or canned salmon. Now, tuna fish would work too. This is just what we had. Let's get started making.
Again, I didn't want to make as many cookies as the original recipe called for, so I decided to tweak the ingredients just a little. This recipe recommends using a food processor to chop your salmon or tuna fish up into a finer consistency. used one 2.6-ounce package of pink salmon. Add your fish into a small bowl. The original recipe called for a whole egg, but since I was cutting it down, I decided to use just the egg white, and it worked fine again. The last ingredient was 1/3 cup of flour. I used whole wheat again, but all-purpose would be fine too. Then I used my hand mixer to combine the ingredients. My dough mixture seemed a little dry, so I added a tablespoon of water to help it come together. Then I rolled out my dough on a floured surface. I didn't have any cute cookie cutters in a small enough size to use for cat treats, so I decided to just make rectangles using my pizza cutter. Next, I transferred them to a baking sheet covered in parchment paper. I baked them at 350 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes, or until they were brown and crispy. All done! I packaged them up and sent them over to Loretta. Loretta does not like cat treats, but she did like these.
Thanks so much for watching. We hope you'll try these pet treats with your own furry friends. Don't forget that there are a lot more videos, activities, and performances over on the Dixons website at dixon.org/familyday. Hope to see you at the museum really soon. Bye!